Hey, what's up guys, this is Trav, back again with another video and review for you guys. I decided to do this one today to sort of, take over for a minute to talk about a movie that I really love. And what makes me want to do this is Batman v Superman is this weekend, guys. We are finally here. It's finally happening. It was gonna be released, I think, in May 2015, but it got pushed back, I think, like to January 2016. Or no, it was actually, no, May. It was May 2016, and then they moved it back to March because Civil War got that month. So we are finally here, guys. Batman v Superman is a legit thing happening, and there's fanboys everywhere. There's people that aren't even fans of Batman or Superman that are curious as to how this is going to play out, but I wanted to go into something that I really enjoy, and recently I did a top 15 movies of all time list, and I discovered that Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, I felt the need to discuss this because I realized that this movie made it above Marvel's Avengers. I don't know how, but it did it. And I gave it some thought after I realized that. I made my movie list for that, and I didn't actually think about that when I made it. I just simply kind of put it above the movie because my brain naturally was telling me that it's a better film. And honestly, I gave it some thought, and that's true, in my opinion. Man of Steel has turned out to be my favorite comic book film to date. Bring it, haters. You may or may not know that Ryan has already done a older video on this specific movie.
I don't have the big fancy intro, and I don't have the other camera, which Trav has the other camera. Trav, aka Trav. Check out his channel, guys, because this phone is slipping. Okay.
But that was back in 2013. So now here we are in 2016, and Batman v Superman is actually happening, and I wanted to do a full review, my opinion, all of my thoughts of this movie, Man of Steel, just my entire thoughts on this movie, an ultimate review on this film. I really love Man of Steel, okay? I am a guy that it didn't take the announcement of Batman v Superman for me to love this movie. There are people that love Man of Steel now because it's a build-up movie to Batman v Superman. But I was one of the people that when I walked out of the theater in 2013, I really was blown away by Man of Steel in the ultimate way. I am not a guy that grew up with Superman. I did not grow up with him. I enjoy the old movies, but I don't enjoy them as much as others. And as you can see today, I'm rocking the Superman shirt for this review, and I love this shirt. I also have a Batman version of this, as you may have seen in one of my food reviews. I wear it sometimes. Thing is, this movie is fantastic on every level. And you may not agree with my opinion, so keep in mind that you may not. If you want to hate in the comments, then go ahead. I don't care. My opinion is Man of Steel for superhero movies, for the superhero film genre. In that section of movies, Man of Steel is a masterpiece, and I'll tell you why. Zack Snyder gave us a Superman movie that puts Superman in the world today. He put him in the modern, right now, right here in the world today, but adding in sci-fi elements like aliens and all that. Superman has always been an alien, like in the comics and in the movies and all of that, but he is finally more modernized. He's finally more whatever. Henry Cavill is the best Superman yet. Christopher Reeves is amazing as well. He has his own kind of Superman going, but there are people out there that hate Man of Steel, and all I want to ask them is, do you want a cheesy Superman for the rest of the world, of the time in Hollywood? Do you just want to keep the just cheesy Superman? No, let's get a dark and modern Superman going here, and that's what happened with Man of Steel in 2013. People are just so upset about this movie for such reasons that, in my opinion, are just so out there. These reasons are not good enough for me to not support this film and not to love it to death. But before I go into any major details, I will warn you, spoilers is a definite thing. I'm going to spoil this movie as if you have seen it, and if you have not, I wouldn't watch this review. If you don't want to see, if you want to see Man of Steel, then don't watch this unless you don't care about spoilers, whatever, but you have been warned. I am going to spoil Man of Steel for anybody watching. I'm going to go into this movie with detail without ranting too much, because I can rant about this movie forever, but I've been telling you that I am a high supporter of this film, and I am going to talk about it in full detail, so here we go. Casting, guys. This movie is beautifully casted. People, they don't care for a few characters in this that I actually really, really love. I mean, for one, Henry Cavill, like I said, is a beautiful, does a beautiful job as Clark Kent / Kal-El, Superman. His father is Russell Crowe. Good God, Russell Crowe is amazing in this movie. He is the perfect, like, daddy of the alien boy. Like, he is perfect. Like, he just has this, he even has, like, a bit of an accent in this movie that I thought was a nice touch. And he just does a beautiful job. I love Russell Crowe, and I always have. Any movie he's in, I'm in. I love, whenever Russell Crowe is on screen, I am in. I love this guy. He's perfect. He does just an amazing job. Even, and like I said, spoilers, when he dies, his, like, ghost or conscience when he's around, those are, like, some of his best scenes, is him as, like, the ghost, Jor-El, or whatever he's called, I forgot. General Zod, Michael Shannon, there is so much depth to this villain. There is so much, I mean, I'll get to a lot of that later, but there is so much depth to this, and he is the perfect general. I mean, there's been some good General Zods, but this guy is a great General Zod, and to me, in this movie, Man of Steel, he is one of the best on-screen villains I have ever seen. I think he's pretty underrated for what people really think about him, but people that do really enjoy this movie and do have my sort of opinion on this film understand exactly where I'm coming from. They see it too. They see that Michael Shannon is an amazing pick for General Zod, and General Zod himself ended up being one of my favorite villains of all time, probably in my top 3 villains from a movie of all time. Let me also note that I just said a little bit ago that I put Man of Steel on my top 15 list above Avengers. That does not discredit the Marvel films, and I am not a DC fanboy. Don't start with me on that. I love Avengers. Avengers is amazing on every level. My favorite superhero of all time is Spider-Man, and he's straight out of Marvel, and he is finally getting a new adaptation of him in Civil War. I cannot wait to see how that turns out. So just because a DC property is my favorite superhero movie of all time does not mean that I like whatever. I love DC and Marvel evenly. As a matter of fact, let me just put this. I'm not like a company fanboy. I am a superhero fan. I love superhero movies no matter where they come from. I love Spider-Man, I love Superman, I love Batman, I love so much. So definitely just take credit that I love a lot. So anyway, back to Man of Steel. This movie is fantastic for these reasons. Like I said, casting, the storytelling is so good, guys. Until Man of Steel, we didn't get a good adaptation of a modernized Superman, a no red underpants type of Superman, where you get to see Krypton at the beginning of this movie. Krypton with Russell Crowe playing his dad is fantastic. I love the story about the Codex, and people sometimes question, why is this Codex thing that kind of whatever, it's like the birth thing of all Kryptonians. All the Kryptonians they're not natural birth. They're not natural birth at all. They are all born underwater. Like, there's this weird, like, area, and every single Kryptonian is born for a purpose, and I'll talk more about that when I talk more about General Zod and his whole mission and how much I love his villainism. But it is just so cool to see this world about, like, all these Kryptonians are made for a purpose, and Clark, aka Superman, is a natural birth on Krypton whenever he was born. So his dad puts the codex into him, and so it's kind of like a story of Jor-El, whatever, I forget. Russell Crowe is who he is, puts the codex into him to save Krypton and all that, and only to, I mean, it's like, it can get a little complicated, but when you really think about it and watch the movie a couple times, you'll notice it's not that hard to follow. If you really pay attention, the movie's not that hard to follow. The pacing is beautiful. What I really love about this movie is the pacing. The pacing goes so perfectly, and what I love about it, it's like a 2-hour, pretty much even, I think it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or so, and it feels really long when I watch it, and none of it really feels overdone to me. Some people say that the last half was like really a little bit too much action and stuff, but it's beautiful because they don't allow too much action all through the movie, but then like that last 40 minutes is like starts to be a really action packed, and I think that's perfect. I've always loved movies that have a big action sequence at the end that are supposed to be action movies and supposed to be superhero movies. That's how I felt with the original Spider-Man film. There was a lot of action at the very, very end, with action throughout, but Man of Steel does this perfect, like, good pacing where it's building up to this action, but it's not just for the action, it's for the storytelling. Clark Kent's mom on Earth, she is amazing. I always forget her name. She is fantastic. She does this beautiful job at being like, and you know who would else been perfect for this is Sally Field. But this woman did just as an amazing job. I feel like Sally Field is Aunt May in the recent Amazing Spider-Man films, but it almost is like the Aunt May style of like, oh, you pretty much raised me. This woman raised Clark, and so did Costner. He is fantastic as his Earth dad. They raised Clark from after he crash landed on Earth after his alien dad, Russell Crowe, sent him to Earth to sort of save him and build a better world for Clark himself later, because with Clark being on Earth, he can live and he can kind of, be this god for Earth, be this monument, even though that he hid his powers. His Earth dad, Costner, he wanted him to hide his powers for so many years and everything, and he finally released on him one day after saving a bus from him and all of his classmates. He saved them from drowning outside of a bus, and a lot of people witnessed it. So his dad finally told Clark, hey, you are an alien, this is what you crash landed, and here's the ship in our basement, and it's just so beautifully done. Like, nothing seems over the top or too cheesy. It's a very grounded world. It almost feels like something that could really happen, like aliens that are also human send, some dad sends his boy to Earth. It's all crazy and sci-fi, but it's really beautifully done, and we haven't seen a modernized Superman like this. Like I said, casting. I feel like I've been through the cast. Lois Lane is great in this movie. She is like just... I don't think they could have picked anyone better. There's a lot of female actresses that could have done really well for Lois Lane, but she, I think, is amazing. She does an amazing kind of reporter job. She just, I don't know, like, there's just a charm about her. I really, really love her acting. I've always really liked Amy Adams. I don't mind her in this movie. I think she did a pretty good job for Lois Lane. The thing is people talk about Zack Snyder being this, like, spectacle on visuals. Yes, this movie is beautiful, and there are people out there that say the music, the score, and the visuals are really the only good thing in this movie. I really, really disagree. I feel like that the visuals add so much to it. They make it look really, really good, and it wouldn't be a Superman movie. It wouldn't be as good as a film without the visuals that we do get, and the score is absolutely fantastic. That score that you're hearing right now is the Man of Steel score, and it's one of the best pieces out there in Hollywood history. I feel like I love music like this. I love the epic feel of the music. I love, like I said, the visuals are fantastic, and it wouldn't be the same without them, but it doesn't, but the storytelling, the story itself is what makes me love Man of Steel, and I probably won't be able to go into every detail because there's just so much and so many reasons I love this movie, but I just wanted to do a kind of long / brief review on this movie, and I have legitimate reasons, but I may not be able to think about them right this second, so forgive me if I don't make a good point. If you have a different opinion on this movie, then okay, but I'm just sharing my love for this movie. I love it. Superman truly has made a return back in 2013 in the best way possible, because here's the thing. There are movies like Amazing Spider-Man 2 that sort of were only truly there so they could build it up to another movie. Man of Steel does the perfect job of being its own movie. Like I said, I was excited about Man of Steel when it came out on its own, before Batman v Superman was even announced. Maybe Zack Snyder saw the success of Man of Steel and decided, hey, we're going to put Batman into this new Superman DC universe. I don't really know how that went down, but either way, Man of Steel stands on its own. Even if Batman v Superman wasn't happening, it still would make a good movie. But I will tell you this, I've rewatched Man of Steel several times now, and I will say that the fact that Batman v Superman is coming out does make me enjoy Man of Steel even better, especially that ending with Metropolis, Superman and Zod going at it, and I've seen in the trailers that Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, as Batman, is at Metropolis when that happens. I'm so excited to see how that plays out in Batman v Superman. Like one of the Wayne Towers goes down. Apparently there was a Wayne Tower in Metropolis. I don't know if that's like something from the comics or whatever. I don't read any Superman comics. Sorry. But, and people that argue that Superman doesn't kill, and I will just spoil this for you, Zod's neck gets snapped by Superman at the end of this movie, and I'm going to go into that in a minute on how I feel about that. The destruction of Metropolis. Okay? There are people that hate on this movie because of all of the millions of dollars, all the people that lost their lives that Superman couldn't save. Okay, number one, Superman finds this big UFO thing inside an ice cave somewhere where it's like a part of his people, a Kryptonian ship. He puts his little Superman key thing his dad gave him when he was a baby and puts it into this machine, and you later find out in the film that that's how Zod was able to track where Superman is. They find out that that's where, and Zod had already promised his original mom that he will find him and kill him. And so they find exactly where Superman is, and this was by the time that Clark was finding out who he even is. He didn't know who he is. He had just recently discovered, like, he always knew that he had these superpowers, but he didn't know what it meant or where he was from. That's beautiful in itself, too. There's a mystery to it all. Henry Cavill does an amazing job on acting, figuring out who he is through this movie, and it is one of those cliche things where, oh, right when he finds out who he is and all this, villains happen and aliens take over, but, I mean, it's still beautifully done. This movie isn't perfect, but it's really good for what it is, and is the best adaptation of Superman yet, in my opinion. And what excites me is that Batman's gonna be all up in the middle of it, and eventually Justice League. They're building this universe. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The destruction of Metropolis is a part of the story, guys. It's a part of, like, the fact that Superman himself has been Superman for like a week, so he's just now discovering who he is as a person. And, well, an alien, if I should say myself. The thing is he didn't know who he is until a freaking week ago. So it's like, people complain, literally fans of, and non-fans of this movie complain about, oh, like, you know, he kills too many. It's like, that wasn't his fault. Zod built these world engines to make Earth into Krypton again. He wanted to kill everybody to build his planet again. Okay? So, in order to stop Zod, you have to have this god, Clark, fight this villain in this big city battle. Yeah, they could have just fought in some field somewhere. That's not where the world engines were put. It was put right in the freaking metropolis and on the opposite side of the world. So when Superman went and destroyed that, he went to go stop Zod. Actually, he went to go destroy the opposite world engine, but ended up, you know, having to fight Zod and eventually kill him because Zod told him, I will keep trying to kill your people. He will win. He gave him no choice. And people can argue, hey, that's the way the writers wrote it. And so that's, like, but it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter that that's how they wrote it, because what other kind of Superman movie could we have gotten? It could have been less good, because it's like, have you ever heard Superman Lives? John Schnepp's documentary with Nicolas Cage was going to be Superman and fight Doomsday. It may not have been any good, guys, so I'm glad that we have this adaptation of Superman. The reason I said earlier that General Zod is one of the best on-screen villains of all time, one of my favorites, is this reason. Zod has so much depth to him. He is so human, even though he is a Kryptonian and he is alien. He is so human. There is a scene where Clark asks Zod, did you kill my father? And he says, yes, I did, and there's not a day that it doesn't haunt me, but if I had to do it again, I would. And there's another scene at the end where he tells Superman that after all of Superman and the army and everyone have destroyed the Kryptonians at the end, after this long, long battle, he tells Superman that I have no more people. Like, you have destroyed everything that I stand for. I exist only to protect Krypton.
We could have built a new Krypton in this squalor, but you chose the humans over us. I exist only to protect Krypton. That is the sole purpose for which I was born.
That scene is so beautifully done. Michael Shannon did an amazing job as Zod in that moment, because he looks so devastated that he can no longer make a new Krypton on Earth. Superman has beat him, but he is not finished yet. He is going to wipe out Superman with all of his might. He tells him, even after Superman has destroyed everything that he was planning to build, he says that I am going to kill every single one of your human friends as long as I live. His whole purpose is to protect Krypton. He was born for a purpose. Clark was a natural birth, but Zod was one of the Kryptonians that was born for a purpose, to protect Krypton. As the general, he is going to do everything he can. Everything he can, no matter how cruel, no matter how evil. He's self-aware of how evil he is. That's why I love this character. He is self-aware that no matter how cruel, no matter how evil, and no matter how violent his actions are, and no matter how much he even regrets them, he is going to protect Krypton. So he wants to destroy Clark after what he has done, and the battle is fantastic. Like I said, I can't wait to see the scene in Batman v Superman where Bruce Wayne witnesses the battle, and I could see why people that aren't fans of this movie would say, okay, it's Superman's fault that everything was destroyed. No, Zod was trying to kill Superman. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be as much destruction. You have to have, it's two gods battling. They're two aliens. They're two superhuman, super-powered aliens going at it. So I love that they're carrying over that into Batman v Superman, where all the backlash, all the people talking about the destruction of Metropolis and how much it sucks, it's carrying over into the next movie. It's moving the story forward. Bruce Wayne has that anger. He has that anger towards Clark that this alien can destroy Earth if he wanted to, and he causes all this destruction. And I'm hoping that Superman in Batman v Superman explains to Bruce Wayne, yo, Zod did that. He attacked me. He was going to destroy the world, and I stopped him by breaking his neck, even though Superman didn't want to. There's so much depth to Superman in this movie. He's just now figuring out who he is. He's just now figuring out that he's this... I mean, he's known he's an alien for a while, but he's trying to figure out, you know, what he's supposed to do with these powers, and he just killed the last Kryptonian. The general, the head guy that protects Krypton, he killed him. But he had to, because Superman wants to protect Earth, and his father told him he can protect Earth. His father told him that they will hate you, they will stumble, they will fall, but they will join you in the Sun Cow.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the Sun Cow. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
That's a beautiful line from Russell Crowe, because the feels, man. Let's talk about the combat for a second. This movie, that one Smallville scene with him battling the two Kryptonians, that one chick and that one giant Kryptonian, is one of the best action sequences of any superhero movie, I feel like. 'Cause we have never seen Superman-style fighting like this before, where there's three gods fighting. Two on one side, Superman on the other, and the humans, the army is coming in trying to destroy all three of them because they feel like they've never seen Superman before. They think he is one of them, they think he is a threat, but they are noticing that he is protecting them. He's noticing that he is just doing what he can to protect the city. He tells them to go inside and lock the doors to all the civilians, even though it doesn't matter. These guys are gods. They're trying to kill Superman. And I love that he has like a little moment with Zod where he goes through a gas station with him and makes it like all explode and crap, and he tells him that, you know, without his mask, he is trying to adjust. Zod's trying to adjust to the atmosphere and all that. He tells him that, you know, it hurts, doesn't it? You know, that because that's what Clark had to learn as a kid, is try to adjust to the atmosphere because he was an alien.
What have you done to me?
My parents taught me to hone my senses, Zod. Focus on just what I wanted to see. Without your helmet, you're getting everything. And it hurts, doesn't it?
I love that scene because Zod gets taken away into a ship, and so that's not where they have their final fight. It's not right there. The other Kryptonians come in and try to kill Clark, with the army finding out Superman is a hero and he is here to help us. There's this one scene that Collider Movie Talk pointed out, because I watched their commentary of this film. There's this one scene I never noticed, and it's actually a pretty rated R moment in Man of Steel that I never noticed. This guy's head kind of just sprays like blood out of the jet. That big Kryptonian just rips the pilot's window off and just jerks this guy out of the pilot seat, and blood like sprays, like his head explodes. So that was a fun little violent fact I didn't see before. I didn't know someone's head exploded in this movie until now. If you didn't notice it, rewind the scene. There are so many reasons that I love this movie, but I can't simply put it all into one video because it would take forever. It would be like 2 hours long. But I love Man of Steel a lot. It's currently my favorite superhero movie of all time, and I feel like Batman v Superman may be just as good or top it. I am not going to hype the next movie so much. I don't want to be disappointed. I really don't want to be disappointed in general, but I definitely don't want myself to allow myself to be disappointed because of overhyping hype or whatever. I feel that Zack Snyder started something into 2013 that stands on its own. Man of Steel is its own movie. It contains itself as one good movie, but just so happens to be getting a sequel with Batman in the middle with him. It's going to be fantastic. Not only is it going to be good that they fight and really cool, that the perspective on Bruce Wayne, seeing that he's a threat, but finding out that Superman really is a hero and that they could team up. That team up moment is going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see that. I actually can't wait to see that more than the actual fighting. The fighting will be cool. It'll be action-packed. But if it can do just as good of storytelling as Man of Steel, I am in. I can't wait to see this. I cannot wait for Batman v Superman, and I am all aboard Ben Affleck as Batman. I think that people need to let go, that Nolan was, leave the Nolan trilogy as its own thing. It's an amazing trilogy, but we get a new, more comic booky style Batman, and he looks fantastic. If I have to give Man of Steel a rating on 1 to 10, it is a solid 10. I love this movie. I have said it several times in this. It is the best adaptation of Superman yet, and people need to just wake up and realize that. I don't care, though. If you have an opinion on Superman and Man of Steel and it that is much different than me, then I understand. But those people that just trash this movie and their reasons are just so weird and irrelevant, I never understand it, but I think it's a masterpiece, and I will always love this movie, and I will always support it. And it just so, like I said, it just so happens to be getting a sequel with Batman. The DC universe is ready to thrive. I am also a Marvel fan, but I am ready to see all these good DC movies. Justice League Part 1 is going to be filming in April, and I can't wait. I love that they're splitting it into 2 parts, because, hey, we need 4 hours of Justice League. That'll be fantastic. So that's my opinion and review on Man of Steel here from Trav to you. If I ranted too long, I apologize. Like I said, I could rant about this movie over and over. And no, I'm not just like some fanboy, and I'm definitely not a Superman fanboy. I actually, because of Man of Steel, I became more of a Superman fan. But I still like Batman. And then there's Spider-Man above that. Those 3 are my favorite superheroes of all time. Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. So I love I don't love everything that they come out for with all of those characters. But I love this new adaptation. I love the new DC universe so far, and I can't wait. Batman v Superman is in a couple days. Everybody go enjoy the film. Don't overthink it. Don't go crazy. Don't whatever. If you love Man of Steel, then give this a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. I like to see people's opinions on this. I like, talking to people about movies in general, especially comic book films, because I love just indulging in other people's opinions, because mine is not the only one that matters. But at the end of the day, it's my enjoyment that matters. So I never get tired of Man of Steel. I could pop it in every day and never get tired of it. I really, really love the movie. So yeah, Batman v Superman is here. I cannot wait. Let's do this, guys. The hype is real. The hype train is going to keep going. We got 3 movies that are coming out that are all superhero movies within a month and a half time. So everybody enjoy themselves. Enjoy all of this madness. Enjoy DC. Enjoy Marvel. Don't be afraid to support both. I've got some people that are like literally just so stressed out because of all the backlash on stuff and all. It's just like, enjoy it. If you enjoy it, that is all that matters. If your best friend hates something and you love it, just discuss it. Just, make sure that your opinion is your opinion. Don't change it because your friend doesn't like something. Just enjoy it. Alright guys, that wraps this up. I've ranted too long. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You know what to do. More reactions and more reviews to come, and more all kinds of movie-related videos. So we'll be seeing you next time. Trav out.